Hello everybody, this is Cacti and Carnivores here. I'm going to be doing a plant log. Basically these videos are just going to be of me going around kind of doing a quick overview of the plants I've been growing. And so I can sort of just take a log of my experiences as someone who grows both cacti and carnivorous plants, as my brand implies. So yeah, I'm just gonna go through them real quick on this really kind of pathetic windowsill. It's quite big actually. I can grow stuff on here. A lot of good late direct sun. It's like the afternoon, so it's not really coming yet. But it allows me to grow quite a lot as long as I give some added conditions. So I'm gonna start with sort of like my kind of tools I use, and then this big old boy of a plant. So yeah, let's start with, let's get this chair out of the way. Alright, there we go. So basically you got Mister, well, gives moisture to plants, and then I got like bits of various like cartons of soil or lunch meat containers. I don't really have the most fancy of growing tools, but it definitely works. So like this is peat moss and perlite mix. It's more peat and perlite. That's like kind of long fibered sphagnum in the bottom. A temperature thing, I guess it's high 70s, mid 70s, whatever. And then here in this top thing, I'll just move these real quick. I have a bunch of stuff. Basically it's eyedropper for like controlling water and feeding carnivorous plants when they're really small. Fish food pellets, which actually work quite well, surprisingly, for feeding carnivorous plants. Popsicle sticks I use for tags to label my plants. They work pretty well. Magnifying glass somewhere in there. Oh my god, I'm not even filming. Yeah, there's stuff back there. Yeah, this is like a infrared thermometer, so I can like point it at the plants and be like, oh look, it's 78 degrees. Yeah, and it helps me sort of track the temperatures of my plants, so they don't like overheat or get a hypothermia, whatever. Yeah, so these scissors cut off dead growth. Tweezers just help me get into small places and help adjust plants and sort of help. So yeah, that's my sort of tools. I have other things, but yeah, I don't really use a lot of really expensive equipment. I pretty much operate on like half a shoelace, but it works. Alright, now onto the plants. This is my Thanksgiving cactus, I believe that's the name. They're these succulents that like they grow pretty fast, relatively vigorous, and in the like the name implies, in the holiday months, sometimes they're called holiday cactus. They'll produce these flowers that look very nice. It's not flowering at the moment, but yeah, they only flower around winter months. This is a Thanksgiving cactus, so it will flower around Thanksgiving. Yeah, and it's a pretty good plant. There's around 1, 2, 3, 5 individual little sort of branches, kind of treat as one plant. And it grows relatively well. It's been vigorous. It's been growing pretty nice. You get the odd deformed leaf for me though, like this one's got some pretty really odd deformities. This one especially. Like, look at that. Jesus. I have a feeling it has something to do with the humidity, or maybe the water. I water with just tap water, so maybe it's a mineral buildup or something along those lines. But it's still pretty vigorous and flowers pretty well, so I'm not too worried about them. And here's like all stupid beanbag. Here's my sort of like smaller colonies, strains, whatever you want to say. I guess I'll start with this one. This is a cutting I took off of that one. It's got some weird growth as well, but it's been doing well. Very nice. Started off as 3 lobes or leaves and branched off from there. Yeah, it does well. They grow pretty easily for me. I think they're just an easy plant, to be honest. Like, but here's a this is another cutting I took off of this plant. This is the exact part. Something happened, it got cut right here, and this part started to shrivel, and just out of boredom I just placed it into some water and it soaked it up and started putting out roots, and then I just put that into the bottom of this little pot of soil, and it started from here and then just grew out. I'm pretty satisfied with its growth, and it seems like a good sort of grower to have. The bottom of some of these like parts is rotting a bit. It's kind of hard to see. Yeah, like that used to be a plant right there, but it died back. So I might want to put extra attention to this one, but it does well. This is another one. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention about the flowers. This one, this one, the flowers, they have different colors, and so this one produces white flowers. And this one, it said it was advertised with pink flowers, but when I got it, it got white flowers of like a different sort of structure. So I'm a tad disappointed about that, but it's still nice to have. This is a red one, a red flower Christmas cactus, or Thanksgiving. It has, as soon as I got it, it started developing these like really weird splotches of diseased tissue or whatever, I don't know. Probably from like packing stress, and it doesn't seem to be doing too well aside from this little sprout that I just figured out was growing. So who knows, I might want to take a cutting of it and then grow it separately so it can start off as its own plant without being sickly and miserable. I wouldn't be surprised if it died. I'm just keeping it around just in case. Here's a very nice grower. I don't know what made this one grow too well, or grow really well, but it started off as these 2 lobes. I got the cuttings from somewhere, and it's taken off a lot. I just put it in the soil, gave it some water, and it has grown. You can see new ones starting, new leaves, and it has red buds, so it's going to be a red Christmas cactus, or Thanksgiving. It's not really much of a difference, really, but I'm really excited about this one because I'm finally gonna get to see good plants, good red buds. I'm getting a little tired of white ones, really. They're okay every once in a while, but when there's like 20 of them, not like 10, 5 maybe, on these, it gets a little kind of boring. But I believe they haven't grown as much. Like, this one's been growing a lot, but they've all kind of stuck in. They've kind of all like stagnated a lot. I believe it must be because I'm not repotting them. I've heard they do well crowded, but as you can see, I can easily take this one off. I heard they do well root bound, but they don't seem to be too good after a certain point. Maybe they drain the nutrients from the soil. So if I might just repot most, if not all of them, except that one cutting, and they should probably do well from there, and I can make a video on it in the future. Okay, so now onto my carnivorous plants. There's a bigger one back there that isn't carnivorous, but I'll get to that one. This is a Nepenthes. This is my first Nepenthes plant, and I gotta say I'm not disappointed. Nepenthes are a really beautiful species of tropical pitcher plants. They produce these pitchers, and then an insect will crawl into them and then fall and drown. And they come in all sorts of different species, and there's a lot of hybrids. And this one's a hybrid. Hybrids grow faster and can often be put in less ideal conditions and will still do really well. This one's a Spectabilis expatulata. I don't think that when I searched up Nepenthes spatulata, the closest species I got was Spathulata, so it might have been mislabeled to an extent. I potted it up. I'll just take the tag out. I potted it up. What is that, like a week ago? It's like June 23rd, and I got it on the 16th, so I just want to figure out how long it's been in that soil, just so I can keep it healthy. Hasn't killed, its pitchers haven't dropped yet. It haven't killed. None of the pitchers have died off yet, so I'm pretty sure I'm taking care of it well. It's got some new growth going. I've seen somewhat noticeable movement over the past week or so. It's really subtle. Most carnivorous plants are pretty slow growers compared to garden or house plants, but they do well. I've kept this one in a bag because I got it. When I got it, it was from a greenhouse, so I decided to keep it. Well, what would happen was I went on these forums. It's the Great Big Ol' Flytrap Care forums. It's a pretty nice place. I'd recommend it if you're into growing carnivorous plants. And I put out an entry for a giveaway, and I got this plant, and it's a beginner species, so it should do okay for me. And I'm happy to grow it and really excited. It's been getting some good leaf jumps. I'll just try and get the best not picture, but look of it as I can. I want to take it out of the bag. Let's see. It's got some nice growth. Striped peristome and really good variegated pitchers. It doesn't seem to be most easy growing Nepenthes kind of have somewhat not really boring, but just a tad plain pitchers. These are definitely not very plain. They got some really nice growth and some good leaf jumps. It's when they start putting out leaves that are bigger. So this leaf is really tiny compared to these two that are the newest, and that pitcher is pretty big. Not tiny, basically. These pitcher plants get a lot bigger than this, but yeah, it's going to be exciting to see what these two other pitchers will develop into. Yeah, so it's going to be cool. This plant's going to get really big in the future. It's going to be nice to document its growth. This is a Venus Flytrap. I got it from Walmart. Does pretty well. It's put out some traps, albeit a bit smaller and not as colorful as these ones. The thing is, I'm trying to keep it out of the summer heat. People say oh, they like summer and all that nonsense. Well, to phrase it better, a lot of people say Venus flytraps do well, or they can tolerate high temperatures and low humidity, but for me, they never seem to do really well. A lot of the leaves will just die back and they'll look sickly for the entire growing season. So I'm keeping it inside, trying to give it some extra light. So hopefully it isn't doing horrible. I'm okay if it's a tad unhealthy as long as it's putting out new... Like, it's definitely going to grow. It's just not going to look, like, amazing. I mean, I actually caught I think that's called a crane fly. I don't know. Mosquito eater. That's what we say. But it's... It's surprising that it could catch such a fucking thing. Like... Yeah, so it seems to be doing well. I'll give it some time, and it will probably look nice. This is a hold on, let me just get this out. These are Venus Flytrap flower stalk cuttings. So basically, what you can do here is you can. I have fly traps outside, and they send out flower stalks in the spring. So I've read online, it's what you can do is you can cut one off and stick it in some soil, give it some humidity and heat, and within like a month or two, they'll start producing tiny little plantlets near the base. This is a smaller one that was cut in half by me because I'm an idiot. Not that big of an idiot, but you get the point. And it's molded. I've kind of given up hope, but I remember seeing there's a really small red bump somewhere, so I think that's a strike when you get new plantlets. And this one hasn't completely died back. It's taken quite a while to like get to just the top coming off, so I think I've pretty much got it good. It gets a lot of heat in the midday, afternoon sun, like up around the 90s. So it should be doing well, and I might put updates out on it. So this is a dragon fruit cactus, and I got it like a year and a half ago. Watered it, it did well, not really well, but it was okay, and then it grew and grew and grew, and it's up to there now. I don't know what to do with this plant. It was a bit of an impulse purchase. I knew it would get this big. I just kind of bought it, and now I kind of regret that. I might cut it up into cuttings and then sell them and then make a bunch of money. So that's going to be nice. I don't know what to do with this, really. Like, I don't even know how to sell it or how to package it even. Like, I don't know. If you're interested in this plant, call me up and then I'll hook you up, baby. Yeah, you get the point. So yeah, I don't know what to do with this plant. I've neglected it for a while, and it still grows like crazy. If you live in like a really humid, sort of almost tropical condition, then this plant might do fine for you, but in California, it puts out like really lanky growth with a lot of roots in an attempt to get water, I suppose. So yeah, that's about it. This is my whole windowsill where I grow plants, and that pretty much concludes this segment. Not really a segment, but you get the point. Alright, so this is another windowsill. This is, I believe it's an east-facing windowsill, while this is that over there is a west-facing windowsill. So this, instead of getting good sun in the mid-afternoon, it gets good sun like around the morning, because that's when the sun is first rising. So also, I'm sorry if there's that fan sound. My dad's a stingy little son of a suck, so he doesn't really like air conditioning and instead puts a billion swamp coolers all over the house. But that's good for me, because a lot of the plants that I grow don't really like air conditioning because it will make the house really dry, so that's good. So let me show you. Okay, so let me just explain this real quick. So the Nepenthes I have, when I'm potting it up, I realized that there was a little bit of live sphagnum in there, and that's really good because live sphagnum can be used for a lot of things, starting cuttings, plant cuttings for carnivorous plants, growing them in it. All they need is like some humidity, some sun, and some pretty cool temperatures. At least where I live, it's 70 to 80 degrees, and they'll do amazing. They should grow like crazy within a month or a year. Not really a decent time span, but you get the point. So this here is my big hunk of Sphagnum Moss. I use to pot up my plants, carnivorous plants. I've heard they do really well, and I got like a big kind of 100 milligrams. I'm not familiar with metric too well, but of this stuff off of my Amazon, and I've just been keeping it here just in case if it starts growing from the sun, maybe. So yeah. So here is the sphagnum I have. Let me just take this off real quick. There. So it has done really well. I see new growth points on it. If you can look here, you can see new parts growing out, and then over here as well, I can see new parts growing out. So hopefully this will sprout. It seems to be actively growing, and it hasn't like burnt or dried up yet, which means it's doing well. And if I dry it, I don't know. I haven't really seen much about this, but perhaps, just perhaps, I could like dry it up and then use it and convert it into like this. I don't really know how that would work, but you know, whatever. This is me taking some dead sphagnum, and then I just like did something similar with this, and I tried to get new sphagnum to grow from it, and it's really disgusting in there, and I'd rather not look at it. So I'm keeping it there just in case, but there's like a bit of sphagnum and then some like leftover soil that was barely enough to pot up anything of any size. So I just, maybe I could take some and then put that in there just in case. So yeah, there's my sphagnum cultures, I guess. And this is going to be really interesting because sphagnum grows really quickly, or relative to most of the plants I grow. So this is going to be pretty exciting. So yeah, let's go outside now. Alright, so we're outside. Here's our garden. Pretty nice garden. Lots of flowers, lots of good growth, a giant sunflower, and some marigolds and other such things. But the focus of this video are plants like Venus flytraps. So these are my Venus flytraps. Pretty good plants. They've grown well for me. They've taken some abuse, but they've finally got pretty much everything down on how to grow them. They originally, this plant used to be one plant, but as Venus flytraps do, they just divide like crazy. Not crazy, but they divide, and eventually when I repotted it, I got 2 flytraps. So that's good. I named this sort of genetic set, I guess. I call it Vinny, because the name Vinny to me is a very tough but kind of incompetent sounding name, which kind of, to me, like, represents these flytraps. Like, they're tough, but they do a lot of weird nonsense half the time, and like, they just produce really small traps in the summer, or smaller ones. This was especially on this one, this is the bigger plant. This is like a old trap that started in the spring, and then the ones down here are not as big. And yeah, it's not really incompetent. It's just like it doesn't grow well too. Like it doesn't grow amazing and grows a bit odd at times. So basically out here in California, it gets really, really warm. Like for the last 2 days it's been in the 100s, and like almost every source I've read online says to keep them in like heat and sun and they'll do amazing, but for me they don't. They show some stress. I'm trying to keep them out of like a lot of sun so they don't like get miserably burnt as they did those years back. I'm keeping them in styrofoam pots. It seems that this is like a new thing that's it's becoming sort of a common trend, is to grow Venus flytraps in styrofoam pots to keep their roots from overheating. And I keep them in here to try and raise the humidity. Rocket apples. It's a really nasty fucking catchphrase there, but yeah, so they grow well. Nice. This is like the best it's done. It's caught this tiny fly right at the edge of its trap. Come on. It's not really focusing. I guess you get the idea. So yeah, they do fine. I'm gonna move them out here so they can get some sun. So yeah, because like they do like sun, just not like really hot temperatures. I found in this pot where there's a kind of an old lime tree above them, they get some good sun, but not like some really bad sun. What does that mean? They get good sun, but not boiling temperatures. So yeah, these are my cacti. I've had quite a lot. They grow pretty well for me. Very nice growers. I guess I'll just start with this guy. This is a mammillaria of some sort. Probably need to repot it, but it does well. Very interesting plant. This is a what's it called? Prickly pear of some sort. It's a bunny ear cactus or something along those lines, and it's growing pretty well. It seems to like a lot of sun. I've kept it here, and it hasn't turned red or hasn't turned a lighter shade of green at all, and it actually seems to be liking this place a lot, so I'm keeping it here. Also, one time I kept them up here, which got more sun, but this thing here, it gets like windy and then this thing just knocks them over, and it happened to them like 5 times before finally giving up and just putting them down there. I tried putting rocks on this and all, but this is just really frustrating. Yeah, so this is another mammillaria. Okay, pretty nice. Doing well, showing some growth. Yeah, so these are peanut cacti, I believe that's the name. I've had some trouble identifying them, but they've done really well. The thing about these is that they are really good for cuttings and other such propagation methods. Like this one, which looks rather phallic, like really perfectly. Anyways, like this one started out as like a tiny, like kind of one of these, but just in the center, and it's sprouted and it grows and they grow and grow and grow. This one started out, I got it a while ago from somewhere. I'm not gonna really say. I have a tendency to take cuttings from other people, but yeah, like let's move this one like up here. There we go. I had it in another pot, and then it grew pretty nice until it had a chunk taken out of it for no particular reason one morning. So I like recut it and it started off as like this little bit right here, and then it just went crazy. Like there's bits growing everywhere. Like they're crazy with how well they propagate. They could probably fill out a bucket, like a big old like planter within like a while, but they would do it pretty well. Yeah, they're really cool plants. I also heard they have really nice flowers, little red flowers, but I haven't gotten mine to flower yet. They kind of take a while. The only plant I've really been able to get to flower is this one, and I might show a picture. Yeah, they got some pretty good flowers. So yeah, I might get more to flower in the future. But yeah, there's my cacti collection and my Venus flytraps and pretty much all the plants outside. So this has been one of my first vlogs on this channel. Planning to get more videos out soon. I got some seeds coming in, some spatulata seeds, some pretty good, might get some more cacti cuttings, all that fun stuff. And so I'll put out plenty of videos along with this vlog series here. So that's gonna be nice, gonna be fine, dandy. I'll see you next week or maybe sooner.